Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is really to go into more in depth and give explanations or specifics on what it means to create a new blueprint, a new template for yourself. What are some specific examples of cognitive dissonance, the depersonalization? What are some more examples? And how do you create a new blueprint, a new template for yourself so you can redirect your behaviors, your choices, your feelings, your perspective, and furthermore, have that internally and call that forth versus being hoovered in by a malignant narcissist, a psychopath, and really as they sort of try to derail you or knock you off your foundation through their malignant behaviors, the pathological lying, the gaslighting, the brainwashing, the second and third lives that they're keeping hidden from you, that they try to deceive you through and conceal. And furthermore, how do you get into a state of focus, concentration, certainty, and empowerment? So I want to give some examples of cognitive dissonance and pathological lying, and then furthermore how you can recreate or create a new template or a new blueprint that will create the emotional centers, which are much different from the fight or flight, but that are more based in a sense of empowerment, peace, positive perspective, and are eliciting a new chemical response versus the parasympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, that tends to launch people into the adrenal fatigue, the exhaustion, the cycle of anger, the use of your time into the repetitive being brainwashed, living in cognitive dissonance, or living in the psychological torture that comes with a psychopathic pattern interrupt that they will engage sort of in their targets through creating a whole emotional cocktail within, which creates that fight or flight in the extreme sort of fear, yet combined with pleasure, which is a real sort of super glue to the relationship that you have maybe found yourself in, either through a family member or a spouse. So realize that cognitive dissonance is the state when someone's behavior is contradictory or not equal to what they say. In other words, what they say, the relationship that they're in, their behavior is contradictory or in opposition to that. And oftentimes they will use this as a manipulative technique because their body language really speaks more volumes than the words. So their body language oftentimes will be very dominating, very forceful in nature, whether it is a quiet force or a strong overt force, where they will use, people will say, pushing their weight around, pushing their charm around, pushing their money around. In other words, ingratiating this pathological sense of self-absorption into the relationship. And they will use things, like I'm your wife, I'm your husband, I'm the mother of your child. They will use this as sort of a title as a term or a way to elicit that sort of fake exterior presence in one's life. Yet the behavior, what they actually do, kind of behind one's back, or the smear campaign, the splitting behavior, is very contradictory. And so this oftentimes is concealed and then exposed further into the relationship once you discover the pathology or malignancy of this person and their true lack of presence or empathy in your life. And this might erupt in what we call an exposure, where you find that they could be cheating on a spouse, stealing money, going out and doing different things contrary to the pattern of the relationship. And then furthermore, concealing this and then finding amusement with this, of course. And as this engages, you find that you then begin to tolerate either a lack of presence or a very fake presence in in your life. So in other words, they will put on a show, they'll put on their best foot forward, they'll have all, the trappings of the relationship, yet so much of their behavior can be hurtful or insultory in nature, which tries to furthermore solidify their presence of domination or control. So, and having you confused with what love or relationship is. Love is patient, love is kind, life is not derogatory, hateful, forceful, critical, and conditional in nature. So the tinge of the relationship will begin to take this, but then it will progress in time and get worse in time. Meaning the behaviors will become more pronounced. You will no longer they want to take the helm, they want to take over the driving, they want to take over certain things. Slowly your grip is being loosened in areas which you used to have a stronghold. And so they see this in a very deliberate and calculating manner, and will, do, and then kind of have a cameo appearance where they'll have kind of a false, presentation in your life, where they might be there for a dinner, a weekend, a meeting. If this is someone at your workplace, where they'll give the false, very fake, it's a very showy sort of overt or covert charm, where they have a sort of what I think a viewer described it as a very smug appearance, and doing behavior which is not appropriate, overtly sexual were not appropriate, overtly, using of their body language to block your personal space, very subtle boundary violations with your personal space. They might kind of put their hand around you or turn their body in odd directions. You will observe this, and you might notice this, or you might have been a victim to this for so long and being kind of covertly violated. And then, this is now becoming aware to you now, how this was set up within you. And then your blueprint became one of reaction, anger, violation, or then the furthermore shutting off and isolating and sort of, crushing of your personality, crushing of your personal voice. And so that now became what we call basically a blueprint, a template, or a habituated feeling or response, or even then, becomes an identity. Your blueprint then becomes your identity of how you are. And people say, I don't feel good in this relationship. I don't feel empowered. I don't feel happy. I feel blocked. I feel stuck. Oftentimes, those energetic blocks are placed in you for a reason. It is an emotional manipulation where if they can render you helpless, and you then live by a learned helplessness, as we've described in previous videos, where you cannot make decisions for yourself, you can't make choices, you're truncated, you're shut down right away, you're not allowed to be, and your B state is your primordial state, which you are entitled to. That is your right as a human being. So they will truncate this and then kind of get into that core. And so that is where we need to create the new blueprint. So you really do need to take pen in hand. You really do need to take imaginary pen in hand as well, literal pen and paper, and realize, and sort of get congruent about yourself. And, realize that where you had been, the cognitive dissonance had been set in, you've experienced that depersonalization from that cognitive dissonance that has been created as a manipulative sort of technique. Become congruent with yourself, as we describe, and that needs to come initially from a feeling. And so if you have, become into that sort of crippling apathy, depression, or anxiety, realize that, you want to say and come with a sort of approach of seriousness and say, okay, no more. I have had enough. This sort of spectrum of my emotion is no longer suiting me. I'm now making a choice, in a concentrated, serious choice, to move out of this. And so I'm literally now going to create a new blueprint, a new template, which is one designed in congruence. In other words, I speak, I have opinions, I have emotions, I have power. I have the ability to help, support, love, give, and have gratitude and fulfillment and enjoyment. And these are my areas which I now want to enter into with my new blueprint. It's almost like a treasure map. If you've ever seen, the treasure maps of old or some of the original maps, they're very simple. They were done oftentimes by calligraphy or lithograph, plates that were carved out. You literally need to take pen in hand and then put in front of you so that you can visually see it, your goals, objectives for your behaviors, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and choices. And I want you to begin to experience these and write these down. And then furthermore, come from the perspective, if I was not in that fight or flight, fear and anxiety, I would choose to around this person and begin to come to terms with these choices in a sort of neutral zone. So, in your, in the privacy of this video, you can take the time to really get that. And if you do not have a notebook to actually write this down, you need to absolutely write down your personal confidential responses to these questions so you can see them visually and then reprime the subconscious so that you are aware and sort of, owning this transition, owning this in the privacy of your focus here so that you can see it before you and then know that it's real and know that it lives within you, and furthermore give it life by attention, thought, consideration, and conscious calling forth. So, realizing that this new blueprint, this new template is something that you are at the helm, you are customizing, you are developing for yourself. So rather than feeling fear and anxiety, I have a sense of confidence, knowing, and certainty. And so calling forth those very primordial feelings and emotions is crucial for you right now, especially as you do that and then come to that emotional state first. So the emotions need to be established. And the emotion is energy in motion, which is what your body sort of resonates in. It's a chemical, it's a different sort of chemical, it's a different sort of feeling, it's a different sort of experience, and furthermore perspective than the fight or flight, cognitive dissonance, the sort of disarray, the chaos that is ingrained or created or instilled as a sort of feeling and body reaction with which maybe your identity now has become caught up on. So we're now creating a sort of a custom new identity for you so that you can come from the perspective of a more serious, confident, knowing perspective, one that is based in compassion for self. So in other words, a sort of reinstalling of empathy for yourself and realizing that you do have the ability to live there, be there, and have that for yourself so that you're not in the reactive fight or flight state, that you're in more of a powered state. And so you need to, in the privacy of this video, call forth those emotions and have that knowing, and then have a picture of that for you. So it might be a picture of you smiling, it might be a picture of a beautiful garden, it might be a picture of a fast car, it might be a picture of a big house, a fishing gear, whatever it is that gives you that sense of joy, happiness, contentment, confidence, and knowing, and calling forth kind of experiences in your life where you've had that happy place. And then furthermore, trigger and anchor these feelings within you as you enter into situations where maybe you had experienced cognitive dissonance, either with this person or in the workplace or family events, and begin to bring that with you and call that forth and bring that feeling in that new blueprint in those choices that are able to elicit or call forth when you're surrounded by that same cognitive dissonance, so you don't falter, you don't fall, you don't fall for it, you don't fall prey to it, but instead you're calling forth a new feeling, a new emotion, a new behavior, a new cognition pattern, and furthermore, you'll begin to develop a new identity which you validate within yourself versus being invalidated by a malignant narcissist or a psychopathic individual. It is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.